Hello, BookTube, and welcome to ShakeTube 2017. Our This is a 15-week read-along, a very informal type thing that was created by Lukash over at his channel and Curtis at his channel, in which we read a Shakespeare play uh, each week, and on Friday or the weekend or whenever you can, you make a video with your reactions to it. And Lukash picked a wonderful variety of plays, and the one we're doing this time around is Shakespeare's first great comedy, A Midsummer Night's Dream. And the book that Lukash chose to go along with his read along, although most people are abandoning it, is this Behemoth: Shakespeare, the Invention of the Human by Harold Bloom. And Alan Bloom is from. Some of you will know Alan Bloom is from Silence of the Lambs. Harold Bloom is far less interesting. He's a big, windy academic, and he has a few hobby horses throughout the course of this book, of his book, not this book. He has a few hobby horses, and one of the main ones is the increep of feminist literary criticism to the academia of the time when he was writing this book. He thought that it had no place. He thought that it devalued everything, and uh, that gets a little tiresome over the course of 1,000 pages. But strangely enough, maybe it's not connected with feminism, but oddly, I found his discussion of Midsummer Night's Dream really good. It's one of the only discussions in the book where I don't disagree with him about anything major. Uh, the story is a hodgepodge. Bloom is very good in pointing out that it really doesn't have many clear antecedents in literature, and that as such, it's an extreme rarity in Shakespeare's plays. He usually he usually draws heavily on source material, and in this case, it's a mishmash of source material. There are human lovers, there are figures from mythology, there are fairies in the woods, and he mixes them with, as Bloom points out very intriguingly, he mixes them with a group of rude mechanicals, of ordinary working men that Shakespeare almost certainly drew from his own rural upbringing. It's almost certainly just that Shakespeare was feeling the strength of his legs underneath him, that he was feeling, I can make something completely original here. And I was very happy to reread the thing. I was a bit distracted. But I was very happy to reread the thing because it is wonderful. It is purely wonderful. It is just fun from start to finish, and so beautiful in the language, just so beautiful. That this is another this is another place where I tend to agree with Bloom, which is that the play really does render a lot of academic criticism a little bit forced feeling. And actually, Lukash made the same point in his video about the play, that it feels more like something that you just encounter directly. It feels like something you don't need a lot of scholarship to understand. I agree with that completely. You don't need any scholarship to understand it. And the the element that struck me this time around, probably because I had just read, I just reread Bloom's essay on the play. The element that struck me the most was the supernatural element. Most of the times that I've read the play, I've paid attention to the human elements and the play within a play, which I think is incredible. But this time around, I paid attention to the supernatural characters in the play because Midsummer Night's Dream has um, a large chunk of the action and a large chunk of the cast of characters are beings who aren't human, which you don't often see that in Shakespeare. It's there in The Tempest, but it's not common. Um, and when I was looking at those things, the interplay between Oberon and Titania, that I just found it all fascinating. The way Shakespeare had it all thought out conceptually ahead of time. What we would call today world building. It amazed me all over again. Of course, I read parts of it out loud, and um, it reminded me of something that I want to recommend. There isn't much that I actually have to say about Midsummer Night's Dream. It's just a romp. It's just a pure, fun romp. Beautifully written. And a point that Bloom makes in his essay that I kind of sort of agree with, essentially flawless. One of a handful of essentially flawless works that Shakespeare did, which is great to watch and on stage, but it's the very devil to talk about. It's something that's flawless. But one of the things that I was reminded of that I wanted to recommend to you was a novel called The Great Night by Chris Adrian, who did The Children's Hospital, and is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful writers working in English fiction today. And The Great Night is a pastiche of A Midsummer Night's Dream, but it's beautiful and unbelievably heartbreaking, which doesn't happen in A Midsummer Night's Dream. There is no heartbreak, and that's what makes it so wonderful. That it's so inconsequential. Even as Sue said in her video, even the whole thing might be a dream. None of it might be real, as Puck says at the end. Think but this, and all is mended. That you have but slumbered here, whilst these visions did appear. I really want to recommend The Great Night. I don't think it got the critical attention that it deserved, and it will stick with you. It will move you. And the one last point I want to make, I want to agree with Bloom one more time, which is the Midsummer Night's Dream is a disastrous performance history. It's granted impossible to stage, but even so, the performance histories that I've seen, the plays that I've seen, and also the movies that I've seen, don't do it more than a fraction's worth of justice. It's that's a shame, and it's probably understandable. Shakespeare wrote a few plays that that really can't be staged, and that, you know, even now, all this time later, can't really be filmed either. And I think this is one of them. So that might explain, you know, a spotty performance history. So ordinarily in these videos, I at some point I urge you to go and see a performance of the play in question that we're talking about. Not in this case. It would only hamper your imagination, which is already doing all the work that the play needs. But that's it. That's all for Midsummer Night's Dream. I loved rereading it. I love knowing that other people out there that I listen to all the time were rereading it. It was just a joy, and it was exactly the right register for what I need at the moment. So I'm grateful for that, and that's it for ShakeTube this week, and we'll move on next time. I'll see you then. Thank you, BookTube.